Hey everybody, welcome back. Movie review time, where we geek out about a movie we just saw, and we just saw Doctor Sleep. I would almost do that as a thumbnail, except they would give people the wrong impression. So this is going to be our spoilers review. We're going to spoil all kinds of stuff about this. We're going to talk about the end up front, possibly even, so just be careful. We're going to give you a minute here while we do our spiel to click out of the video if you're like, trying to force feed your baby beer or something. Don't do that. It's not okay. Put the beer down, chuck the baby, and then hit the pause button. But in the meantime, I'm going to tell you, we do not consider ourselves movie critics. We're just movie fans and want to geek out about the movies we saw. We're pretty much right out of the theater, except we didn't have to stop for dinner because it was an earlier screening. And you should watch our no spoiler review, even if you've seen the movie, just because that gives you a better idea of our actual review. This is more just specific details we want to talk about. So you got all that. And of course, you can get our Stardust reviews, 30-second movie reviews, as soon as we come out of the theater. We post those over on Stardust. You can look up TheEricButts, use the links in the description below. And then in case you didn't watch the no spoilers, we did revisit the original Shining. And I also watched the 4.5-hour faithful adaptation from 1997 made for TV by McGregor. So I'm glad I watched all of those. And I have reviews for those over on my Patreon channel, which is, I think the 97 review is free, by the way. If you want to look that up, it's TheEricButts, or there's a link in the description below.
I have a question. When you say McGregor, is that a last name or is it Mick space Garris?
Oh, it's Mick space Garris.
Okay.
And he's an awesome freaking dude, and I had the pleasure of partying with him one night. I mean, he's not a drinker.
Parting him?
Yeah.
You parted him?
Actually, I did. Fun story. I don't know if I should actually tell this. I can tell this. So I was hanging out with John Russo, a personal friend of mine. Long time, he was my mentor and blah, blah, co-writer of Night of the Living Dead. Christina Klebe, who was, she's an actor who's fantastic. She was one of the girls in Rob Zombie's first Halloween remake. Not Jamie or Laurie, but the third girl, and a bunch of other stuff. And McGregor, and John and Mick were both trying to talk up Christina. Not like any weirdness, but as like filmmakers talking to an actor. And I was kind of John's wingman, so I felt a little bad because I took up a lot of Mick's time so that I could, so Jack could actually talk to her more about projects. And I don't know, I probably really annoyed Mick Garris, but I have this great photo where we posed as if we're annoying him, and it's just awesome. So anyways, all right, long story short, there's your warning. Spoilers. All right, you should be long gone by now, okay? I can't believe that Tony turned out to be Qui-Gon Jinn all along, practicing his force ghosting. That was just crazy. I didn't realize that Obi-Wan was in, I didn't know this was a secret Star Wars.
Dad.
I figured I'd do something different.
You've been dying to do that too, haven't you?
Yeah, I figured I'd do something different than your alien joke this time. But what's funny is, as I made that joke, I didn't even think about it being Obi-Wan, it being Ewan McGregor. I was just wanting to make it the Qui-Gon Force Ghost joke, and then I was like, oh, it was Obi-Wan. Anyways, so, yeah, dude, this movie's dope.
Yeah, had a lot of fun.
The recreations of things are fantastic.
Let's actually start there. Do we want to start with the recreations of places or of people?
Well, let's start with the very, very beginning, because we can kind of get into the people a little bit and everything.
Okay.
So it does pick up like in 1980. And we see the vampires take out the little girl or whatever out in Florida.
Right.
Because when they first tell you Florida, I'm like, oh, are we going to get like, old Scatman Carruthers down here? Original Scatman Carruthers, who is recast. Of course, they recast all the original characters. But then we actually get some aftermath of young Danny with his mom, Wendy, and he has a dream about riding his big wheel through the halls of the Overlook and all that stuff. And then the, and he's still talking to Scatman Carruthers in the afterlife. And all that stuff was really, really good. But it is, I guess, especially where we kind of watched it recently, it is a little bit harder to deal with the recasting of some of those characters.
I have to say, the kid that they recast for young Danny was actually a really good balance between looking like Danny, but also looking like a young Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
Now, Wendy was she was too pretty.
Yeah,
sorry.
No, you're right. But I mean, it's hard to look like Shelley Duvall. Shelley Duvall was a very distinct looking woman, and I think Shelley Duvall was attractive. She looked very 80s. And they definitely tried to get the hair and the clothing right, and they even had like her ears kind of poking out from the hair, the kind of odd way she did back then.
Yeah.
But you're right. I think she's a little bit more Hollywood looking.
She had the voice, I thought.
And she had the mannerisms, because again, this is spoilers, I can say this, but there's a moment later where they recreate an actual shot, well, a couple of shots out of The Shining, but the famous door smash scene, like you see, and it was not, Shelley Duvall, it was the new girl, and she had the mannerisms and performance right.
Yeah.
So I was appreciative of that. But I like the whole idea that Dick Halloran, Scatman Carruthers, is teaching Danny to be able to lock those spirits up in a box because the spirits are still coming for him.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool. And then that moment when he's getting freaked out by the ghost, the 237 or 217 lady, popping up in his bathroom, but then he just walks in there and, you know, he locks her away in a mental box in the snow maze. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that was pretty badass, actually.
So I mean, I thought it was a pretty good opening. That, you know, we kind of got touched upon where we were, what happened. We got some actual aftermath.
Yeah.
Because I even said that in one of my Patreon reviews. Like, I understand, like, Monsters Dead movie's over in Kubrick's version, but I kind of wanted to know what happened after that.
Well, and
so
they tell you that because of the incident, the Overlook basically was closed and boarded up, and now the ghosts were hungry, and they're going like, wait a minute, that yummy thing went over that way. Let's go follow it.
Yeah, and this is one of the things I was talking about in my spoilers. I should also warn you that we're probably going to talk spoilers for The Shining and for the TV movie The Shining, which is basically the book. So just be a little careful with that. We'll try not to spoil too much there, but I need to reference some of those things. And this is probably a good point to bring that up, is one of the things that was made more clear to me in the 97 TV version, in the Garris version, over the Kubrick version, is the why the spirits wanted Danny, why the spirits attacked, and why all that happened. It was way more clearly explained in the source material that, you know, that hotel's always been a little bit haunted, but it's not a big deal for most people. But the shining element of Danny, the power he had, was what they were like, oh, we can use this kid to get at all the other stuff and, you know, and eat, you know, suck up the power of this kid and everything. So that really helped inform this a little bit more for me too. Because really, if you look at the Kubrick version, they don't really, I mean, they kind of give you a little of that idea, but it's not like as really kind of spelled out as it was in the Garris version.
Yeah.
And that they're essentially trying to drive Jack crazy to get at Danny and all that kind of stuff.
Right. But, okay, so trying to figure out how to transition to when we start getting into the back half of the movie, where we start seeing a lot more.
Well, I mean, we can jump right to it, or we can move through how, I mean, you know how this works. We just go all over the place.
But, Danny apparently ends up locking up all the ghosts of the Overlook.
Yeah.
Except for one.
Don't leave. No dead space. If I don't get it immediately, go ahead.
Jack. Because who's serving him drinks at the hotel when he's got the other ghosts locked up? And
this is the thing some asshole fucking spoiled in a Twitter group. Like, first off, why the fuck do you have your phone out taking a picture of the screen during the movie, dick? Second, why are you posting it days before the wide release, dick? Because that was a little bit spoiled for me, that, you know, that Jack shows up.
Although, this is one of those things where it was like, nobody has as that bizarrely expressive face that Jack Nicholson has.
Or the mannerisms, the energy.
And the guy that they got was a decent approximation.
Yeah, as good as it's probably going to get.
But it's in there one of those things where you sit here going,
as good as it gets.
Jack's still alive. Could we have done like a de-aging thing?
But like I was saying, or at the very least, and maybe it's a licensing thing or they didn't want to pay him, but at the very least, like the face replacement technology, like they could have mapped a young Jack face, or even using deep fakes. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised if at some point we end up getting some videos on the internet where people take that footage and use deep fake technology to map the original actors' faces on there, because that stuff is getting scary good. So that is a little bit off-putting, so you got to be a little bit prepared for that, you know. Yeah. But once you accept it, I think it's pretty good, and I like how they do kind of recreate some of those things.
And I'm trying to go like, well, my brain is trying to rectify this by going like, well, maybe the hotel is just kind of sucking at getting Jack right.
Right. Yeah, she did have that theory, but then my hole in that theory, and I'm not saying it's wrong, but the thing you then have to consider is, well, they did absorb him into the picture, so you would think the hotel at least has its own specific visual reference.
Or the hotel's so low on juice that he can't do it right.
That's very possible, but it was awesome seeing like all those ghosts come back at the end.
That Danny would see that picture.
Yeah, that was the one thing we thought, because he walks by a wall of pictures, and I thought that was going to happen.
I'm pretty sure it is on that. It's supposed to be on that wall.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I saw a group shot over there, but I know what you mean. That was definitely the wall we were supposed to be. So, but that was really, really neat. And even when they make that decision to go back to the Overlook, and like the music plays from the movie, from the opening credits, and they recreate exactly the helicopter shots of the car, except now it's at night with some snow coming. But I mean, it's that one over the lake with the island in it.
They did and then, helicopters or did drones?
That might have been CG. They might have just been like, you know what, it's at night, and we want to faithfully recreate it with as little hassle. It was probably actually CG. That would be my bet. But I mean, it's just really cool, and that's when I first started like just kind of shaking with excitement and teared up a little bit out of just happiness of, oh my God, we're doing this. And they pull up, you know, and you kind of wonder where the hedge maze is, but I guess it got dilapidated and went away maybe.
No, I think the hedge maze was there.
I don't think the hedge maze was there. I mean, there's a hedge maze moment, but it's all in the head.
No, I think you see it when they pull up. It's just dark.
Maybe. I mean, I was looking for it, and I don't recall seeing it because I thought it was more in front of the place than what we saw. But I could be wrong on that. It's fine.
Off to the side.
All right, maybe. But I would just assume in all those years that wasn't upkept, so it just turned into just regular forestation or something.
Or it could be the fact that there is the hotel that they use does have a hedge maze, but it's a tiny one. Like it only comes up so high.
That's possible. Some other things that I think are really neat that I wanted to bring up because they just popped in my brain. In the Kubrick Shining, I don't think his parents ever called Danny Pup, but in the source material, they only call him Doc. In the source material, it's Doc, but Jack often calls him Pup. So I thought that was kind of cool that they brought that back in. And there was another element of that too, where.
So I thought that was like, okay.
There's another line that they did like that too. So I thought little things like that were neat. And then again, rewatching The Shining. When Ewan McGregor shows up to the new town, the kids were building a miniature version of the town square, and I don't know, they didn't really do that in the Kubrick version, but in the Mick Garris version, there was a small like replica of the hotel over at the playground where Danny was playing. So I don't know if that was meant to be a play on that, just as a little visual reference.
The only replica I can remember in Kubrick's Shining is that there is a tiny replica of the maze in one of the rooms. Okay,
yeah, I vaguely remember that too. But yeah, I think this might have been more in reference to that, possibly. I could be wrong. But then the thing I leaned over and mentioned to her that was interesting is once Danny shows up and he does The Shining to tell his AA guy how to find his watch, which has got to be totally mind-blowing. But they recreated the set of the office in the Overlook where we first meet Jack Torrance in the Kubrick version being interviewed for taking the caretaker job. So I thought that was kind of unusual. Like, I don't know if they were trying to say something with that, or if that was just like, hey, let's throw this fun Easter egg in. But it almost made me wonder, oh my God, Danny's going to end up going through the whole Jack thing here. Like, he's already being manipulated by the outworld.
Well, actually,
the ghosts are turning. I don't know.
Well, there might be something there. If you remember his speech during the AA movie, AA thing where he got his AA.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I know.
Where he got his 8-year coin, and he's like, the only way I knew my father was through the drinking and
the rage. Yeah, which is awesome speech, by the way.
And the fact that he's getting basically interviewed in a job in a room.
Because he did kind of get a job given, the alcoholism. So maybe, I think you're right. That might be where they were kind of going with it. I don't know if they were trying to set up a dreamy thing there or not. Abra, I mean, kind of an on the nose name, but she was awesome. I like how just badass and fearless she was, and not taking shit from anybody. She was very punk rock, and I appreciated that. Especially how powerful she was and how she kept tricking the hat chick. Yeah. Like I loved all those tricks on the hat chick, and then the hand in the drawer and pulling the flesh off. Yeah, that was one of the moments. The other is sticking the thumb in the leg wound and causing the blood to gush. Which is interesting because you didn't seem to have too big a reaction to Jacob Tremblay. Which was probably the more horrific one.
They didn't actually show it.
Yeah, but they did show him like covered in splattered blood by the end. Yeah, okay, fair enough.
I react more to things when they...
I got it. It's the actual impact, the actual insertion, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the person who sits there and watches America's Funniest Home Videos when people are like falling or getting hit in the nads or whatever. I'm like, ooh, ah, ugh.
Yeah.
That you actually see it happen.
Speaking of hitting the nads, when she reversed the axe, at first I thought she got him right in the crotch, right? That wasn't just me. Okay, but it was in his upper thigh, obviously. They make that clear. But yeah, I thought she like literally just axed him in the nuts. And I was like, But so that was extra shocking.
Just the thigh.
Yeah, not that that's any better, especially when she's like, "Oh, I nicked your femoral artery." I'm like, "Oh shit, he is not surviving this." So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I do like how they kind of turned him into Jack. They possessed him, and I like how like one eye was possessed and the other wasn't, so he was still there. Which leads us into maybe some of the boiler room talk, which we'll talk about right after this.
And we're back.
It wasn't that long a break. Stop pretending. I didn't put you to sleep. But yeah, we're talking about the boiler room stuff, and eventually we'll talk about some of the newer stuff. But that's the other thing where I went back to the source material, and this is something she was talking about in an EW article, and it's like I needed to rectify this. But I love when they mentioned the boiler room at the end, when she's like, "You don't know whose body you're standing in, Jack or Danny Torrance," and he made one stop before he started all this in the boiler room, and I was like, I audibly gasped because I knew from watching the source material, and this is why I'm saying watching those things made my enjoyment so much more, because I never knew how big a part the boiler was supposed to be in the original story, because they don't really touch on that at all, really, in the Kubrick version. They hint minorly. You're saying Wendy stokes the boiler a time or two.
Yeah, I think Wendy was basically doing all of Jack's work.
Yeah, but like that's one of the things in the source material. Like that's the major thing he was taking care of at the Overlook, and that because it really, if you really think about it, if there's not something like that, I mean, like in the Kubrick version, they didn't really need to have anybody there. It wasn't like as well defined as why you needed the over the winter caretaker as it was in the source material, for the fact that like you daily had to kind of keep stoking the boiler and make sure everything runs smoothly and the place doesn't burn down.
And the manager of the place does go through a tiny spiel about all of that.
Right, but they don't really play it up at all. It's like totally forgettable if you don't know the source. So when watching the Mick Garris More Faithful version, that was a big part of it. So I was very happy that that played in. And actually, even when he did walk in and I saw the boilers, I got a little bit giddy. I was like, oh God, the boilers. Ooh, the boilers. Now, in the original version, though, and they do kind of replay this a little bit at the end of this, which I loved, is in the original version, Jack Torrance is possessed, but he's trying to break free of his possession because the possessed Jack, the ghosts, are getting him to actually, you know, turn off the boiler so it doesn't blow everything up, but he fights it and he lets it blow. And of course they destroy the hotel. And but they did kind of do that in this one too, that he was reaching, like trying to stop it, but he got control of himself and didn't stop it. And then I got teary-eyed too, because it was really sweet when it pans over and like the ghost of his mother is there just kind of welcoming him, and then it pans back and Danny's a little boy again. Like that's some heart hitting shit, you know. And then of course he lets it all burn down. But like we said, that was like the weird thing, and you're saying from the EW article with King, like he didn't change any of that in the books. Like Dr. Sleep, I guess the Overlook did burn down, and when they go to the Overlook in the Dr. Sleep book, my understanding is they go and it's like, you know, it's just the rubble, basically. Yeah,
whatever it is takes place. I don't know the details beyond that.
Yeah, me either. So
because the article didn't go into that, but apparently the director went to King and went, look, there's just something I really want to do, but I need the Overlook to be in one piece. And Don was like, this is what I want to do, and King went, alright.
Yeah, it's like, alright, I like it. Where's my cameo? Because I didn't catch a King cameo in this.
I don't think there was.
I don't think he's been cameoing in like the new good adaptations.
Thing is, King was basically, he gave his approval and then he was very hands off it from that point on.
But you know what I'm starting to realize is this isn't always true, but almost any of the ones that King cameos in are the ones that people don't like, but the ones where King doesn't cameo are the ones that are like just beloved as classics. Like, you know, he didn't cameo in Kubrick's Shining. He didn't cameo in It Chapter 1 or Chapter 2, the new versions.
Actually, he is in Chapter 2.
Oh, is he? Okay, then forget that. Because he's also in Creepshow. That was why I was saying it's not always true. But of course, he didn't cameo in Creepshow. He was a star of an awesome segment.
The antique store.
I haven't seen It Chapter 2 yet. I mean the new ones.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I haven't seen Chapter 2 yet. I don't know how you know. Oh, because you read all the articles.
Shit.
Yeah. Oh, you're the reason those crap sites know. Yeah, so then Jacob Tremblay, I was talking about that, and it's like, it's a horrific murder for that kid. And that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I think that's why they brought it. They weren't bringing him in for name value. They were like, we need to do like a legitimate, traumatic, horrifying murder.
I was looking
and we need a kid actor that can handle that.
Young. Like, it's just like, because he was just out in that Bad Boys, and he looks even younger in this movie than he does in that movie.
Was he? You mean Good Boys?
Was it Good Boys?
I think that's the movie you're talking about.
The one with the kids.
The R-rated Superbad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be Good Boys. because Bad Boys is very different.
I think I just saw a trailer for Bad Boys.
Yeah, Bad Boys for Life. Yeah, Bad Boys 3, which is called
Bad Boys 3?
which is called For Life for some reason. But anyways, sidetrack.
I'm so confused.
Yeah. But I mean, it was a horrific murder, and like really that could get to you. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then them digging them up and everything was
that as much because again, you don't actually see.
Yeah, they don't show like the stab penetrations. You hear it, you see blood splattering and all that kind of stuff, and the horrifying screams. Mm-hmm. But I really just think they brought him in not so much for name as much as we needed a kid actor that could handle that.
Yeah.
And he did. He handled it beautifully. Like he performed that extremely well. So, so I'll forgive Predator or The Predator, whichever that last one was. That was just awful. So yeah, we haven't really talked too much about the bad guys.
Yeah.
I really like them for how much they do get under your skin. How creepy they were looking, like grandpas. Pretty creepy.
Yeah.
I like Hat Lady and her the visuals of like
Hat Lady and Crow. The guy playing Crow looked familiar, and I can't place him.
I'm
wondering if he's like somebody who looks like somebody, sort of deal.
Could be. Like
an Estevez maybe.
He's got a little bit of a Carlos Santana going on. He's got a little bit of a. He's got a little bit of a lot of people. A little Lou Diamond Phillips in there.
Lou Diamond Phillips. That's what I was trying to think of. Okay.
Well, you're going through the Young Guns cast. Is that what it is? But yeah, and all that stuff was really good, and I love the trick. God, I mean that. When they tricked them all to coming out into the woods, and that new little blonde girl, who's fantastic by the way in her role, she's really annoying in the way she's supposed to be.
Who is she?
I don't know. You're right. She looks so familiar.
It's just like, is it just like a young Helena Bonham Carter? Almost?
I mean, it's got some of that going on. She's got one of those faces where it's a lot of stuff in there, a lot of different people. But point being, I love that scene when they trick them out into the woods and basically kill almost all of them. Even from that initial thing when it's like they thought they were needling the Abra, but it was really her rabbit, and then they just all start shooting at everybody. Like that was really cool. Although I kind of wonder why would the two of you take the same position on the hilltop? Like it seems like it'd be more tactical.
So you don't accidentally shoot at each other.
Well, I'm not saying go on opposite sides or anything, but I'm saying maybe at least spread out a little bit more of a Y angle, so they're not. They have two targets to fire back at instead of just firing back at one place. Not that really mattered.
I think it was a matter of having the appropriate blind spots.
Possibly.
And
okay.
They picked one that was going to be blind from them coming up this way.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, I can go into that, but I mean, I'm just nitpicking.
If further one up, then they might get spotted.
Anyways, I really love the effect. No. I really love the effect too of when they would get shot, like watching them kind of melt and go translucent. You know, their skin would go translucent and melt down.
I feel so sorry for the police that show up on that scene.
Yeah,
they're gonna be so confused.
Right, there's one guy who blew his brains out in all these piles of random clothes and
with some blood stains.
Yeah, and bullet holes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a large lack of police presence through most of this movie in some areas where it's like, especially because this is what I wanted to get to. I did love that trick that we didn't see, that Crow was not out there, and as soon as they realized, wait a minute, where's Crow, and she gets needled because he actually went to her house and killed her father, which fucking sucks.
Yeah, and the thing is, I thought something was kind of weird because it showed during that scene, it shows the scene of the father in the kitchen with her while she's doing the thing. It cuts back to her and he's nowhere to be seen.
Oh, so there you go. It's kind of.
Where'd he go? That's
pretty cool. And then I love the twist at the end for getting Crow as well. It's like, yep, you're cocky, you're immortal, so you wouldn't wear your seatbelt.
Number 4?
34. I don't know. Maybe it's 4. Yeah.
Always
wear your seatbelt. Yeah. But that was really great too. But the police presence thing is what I was gonna say. The police presence thing, especially once the cops get there and find the husband murdered and the daughter missing. It's like, how is there not like APBs out for something somewhere, like at least for the little girl? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's logic to why that's going on.
They were several states away at that point because remember, Mom was out visiting Grandma.
Yeah. Okay.
So they had probably a significant head start before Mom came home and found.
I'm with you. I got it.
Found him dead.
Also, when they're going to the Overlook, they faithfully recreated the gas station too, where Ted Holleran or whatever his name, Scatman Crothers, got the snowcat from. You know, he called up.
Hollerman sounds right.
I know I had the last name. I doubted if it was Ted. I know I said it earlier and said it correctly, but so that was really neat that they even got that so faithfully handled. But yeah, I mean, even just like the way they're doing like detective stuff and the way they show like memories in the mind, like the way all that stuff was visualized, I thought was really, really cool. And apparently Abra's an anime fan, or at least a RWBY Ruby fan. I haven't watched that one yet, so
yeah,
because she's got posters all over her wall and has this demonic hairdo look thing at one point that's really neat.
Yeah, and there's one character in particular she has a couple of like a statue of and at least one picture of up on the wall, and I was like, it's not exactly the same hairdo. It's like, yeah, I can kind of see where.
So that was really just kind of a nice touch too, and I do really like her character, and I like that idea that she was afraid to show anybody her true powers because how her parents looked at. She thought her parents wouldn't love her, but then I thought that was really sweet at the end when she comes clean with her mom and lets her know that we go on and he's okay, you know. And the way the mom took that was really kind of heartwarming as well. So I really appreciated that.
Well, I like how like the mom actually came to her before she left. It goes, it's like, is grandma going to be okay?
Yeah, I thought that was really neat too. Yeah, they do know that a little bit. Although I do question, I don't know how much time there had been, but I do question them still living in that house. I'm pretty sure if my father or husband were murdered brutally in the house that I live in, I'm not going to want to live in that house anymore.
I think it was that time frame was short enough that you couldn't have packed up and moved out. Not unless you're like, grab what you need, we're going to live in a hotel. Right,
yeah, Poltergeist style. I like that Ewan becomes her Tony, basically. I think that's kind of neat at the end there. I
think Tony, it's more like he becomes her scat man.
Well, no, within this movie maybe, but the reason I mentioned that is I'm going back to the source material, not the Kubrick version, because in Kubrick version, it is just the voice in the kid, and he's like, Red Rum, it's me, Tony, Mrs. Torrance, and all that stuff. But in the source material, it is actually a ghost of a person, and you see Danny and the ghost having conversations.
Hey.
Yeah, so that was again one of the big changes, and another reason I'm glad I got the experience of all that.
Dan, actually basically possessing Abra.
Yeah, well, yeah, for the car scene, that was really cool. Yeah, so that's kind of her. That was essentially her Red Rum, I guess.
Oh God, I haven't had a hangover like this in 8 years.
Yeah, and how the slow way Crow is figuring it out. It's like, why is this child talking about hangover? What? Hi, who is this? Yeah, that was really cool.
I kind of like the whole thing with at the end where Danny and Rose are basically meeting face to face, and she's like, how did we miss you?
Yeah, her excitement for that. Oh, and I love like how he unleashed all the overlooked ghosts on her. Yeah. And then we basically got like your classic zombie pile-on scene, or like the end of Maniac. Not quite as bloody, but like all of them just reaching and piling down on her and essentially tearing her apart. Yeah. That was really cool.
And then the oh shit moment of, oh crap, can I get the boxes? Oh fuck.
Yep, nope. And then I love too that when she comes in the hotel and they recreate the classic blood from the elevator scene, and she just kind of starts smiling at it like, oh, that's cool.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Moving on.
She was like me watching the movie, sort of. Yeah. She's like, yeah, right on. Let's see what you're doing there. I like it. Keep it up. Good work. So that was really nice.
Hotel's like, thanks.
Yeah. I really enjoyed Cliff Curtis and Danny. And, I like the stuff with the cat in the hospice. That the cat always...
You realize that that's based off of a real life thing?
No, I didn't. I could believe it's a real thing. I didn't know it was based on a real thing.
I believe it... I'm not sure if this cat's still around now because this story's pretty old. But there was a funeral home in Florida, I believe, that there's this one cat that... He's not a lap cat. But if he goes and like gets in your bed with you... They're going to like call the family now.
The cat in the movie had the most interesting eyes too, I thought, but
those may have been enhanced just a wee bit.
Probably.
But yeah, blue eyes on a cat is pretty striking.
Yeah, but I thought that was pretty neat too, and I thought that was a neat use of Danny's talents to kind of go help people make peace with moving on. So I thought that was, they did a really good job with turning his life around, and I really liked the kinship he had with the Cliff Curtis character. I thought they bonded really well, so I quite appreciated that too. And I love like the pen pal stuff on the wall. That was really neat. I love the reverse of the Red Rum, that he's looking in a mirror and Red Rum shows up and then he turns around and it's murder. Whereas, in the original movie, he wrote it as murder and then you see it in the mirror. Or he wrote it as Red Rum and then you see it in the mirror. So I thought that was a neat turnaround on that. Which, by the way, far superior to how the Red Rum murder reveal is done in the Garrus version. Because essentially Red Rum just keeps like showing up on walls. Danny keeps seeing it. And then at one point it just actually just spells out murder instead of like, oh, that was not a cool reveal.
Tony, are you dyslexic?
Yeah, right? But yeah, all that stuff was really, really good. I think I'm starting to run out. Any other major touchstones we haven't hit? Because we're already at like the half-hour mark.
No, I said I like the villain. I mean,
I was worried they were going to be like cheesy, bad Stephen King villains, and they could have been, but I think they were really well handled.
It's just like she and Crow were really charismatic. The rest of them were basically a pack.
Yeah.
Except for like the snake.
Although the one thing that is definitely got to be a Kingism, that's one of the... I mean, maybe it works in the book better or something, but the canisters, I don't know. There was something just a little too sci-fi about the canisters, that they were keeping all the steam in. I don't know. I feel like maybe if they had looked more like some kind of relic thing, it might have. I was like, again, it's a nitpick. I'm not trying to tear the movie apart for it or anything. What was
interesting was that some of them were decorated.
Yeah, with kind of like almost
like this is the good shit.
Yeah,
and the stuff on the bottom shelf is like
the bottom ones were the empty canisters.
Were they all empty?
Yeah, they were all open, so they were all the empty ones.
Okay, I didn't get a super good look at.
Yeah, that was what they were showing you. Is like, look at how many empty canisters, and there's like 2 left. Because they had just been talking about how their supplies are running low and all of that. So, but yeah, the ones that were had not been opened yet were still decorated. So I assume those are trinkets from their victims. So they would, I guess it's like labeling like, oh, this is the 2016 Malbec, and over here we got the 2014 Cabernet. Yeah.
And here you have the 2018 Tremblay.
Tremblay, yeah. Oh, there you go, yeah. And I do like the psychic thing when she's in the grocery store too, and just blasting her through the window and all that stuff. That was or through the freezer door. That was pretty cool as well.
Yeah, all the psychic stuff was just really awesome.
Yeah, and again, that's what I say. This is not the same as The Shining, but it is a great continuation because it really does play more into that than even the more source material version did. Because it's really, like I said, it's not so much about a family trying to survive this as much as it is about, oh my God, there's all these other kind of crazy people with these powers kind of thing, which is the kind of thing that could end up getting handled very silly and feel like a made-for-TV 90s Stephen King movie. But no, I think it was very well done for this.
They're basically energy vampires.
Yeah, that's essentially what they are. So I think that's, that's what they were going for. And it's pretty fun. So I think they did a real good job with that.
Yeah.
And even the way they die, I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
But
I was just like in like that when the old guy dies, they're talking about, and she goes about how long he's been around.
Yeah,
and all the shit
clearly tens of thousands of years.
More like thousands, probably.
Maybe at least 10,000. I mean, they talked about like empires and stuff too.
You didn't have.
Yeah, I guess it's thousands. Whatever.
Yeah. Written language has only been around 5,000.
As far as we know.
Or, excuse me, 3,000?
No, that's just when the aliens delivered it. Mike told us. Oh, I mean, shh. Anyways, you got anything else on this movie?
Nah.
I think I'm out too, and we're past the half an hour mark, and I gotta go home and edit this and do other things. So that's our thoughts on Dr. Sleep. Obviously, we really, really enjoyed it, and I don't think everybody's gonna love it to the level we do. I do think a lot of that's gonna depend on what you think about other things, but I'm glad I got to have the experience I had with it, and I was very happy seeing it in the theater, and I look forward to seeing it more times and, watching it kind of back to back on occasion, just to kind of see how that goes. So that's my thoughts, and I'm sticking to it. All right, on that note, check out the Stardust app, check out my Patreon, look up TheEricButts, use the links in the description below. This is the spoiler video, so feel free to talk about whatever you want to talk about with this movie. I would definitely like to hear your spoilers and your thoughts on things, especially if you have fan theories or anything like that. And you can also click the thumbs up button. You can give us the good old thumb of encouragement, as we love to be encouraged. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, Mrs. Torrance. And I guess we're going to get out of here so we can go watch some more stuff. We'll see you all later.